On today's Tech Help for Churches, why and how to use YouTube thumbnails. Hi and welcome again to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. This is the show where every week I help you use new media, social media, and the internet for your church. My name is Paul Clifford and I'm your host. I'd love for you to ask your questions, so do that below the video. If you're not watching the video, you might think, oh man, I'm out of luck. I'm listening to the audio podcast. No problem. Just hit me up on my email, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or head over to Twitter, Paul Cliff, PaulAlanclif. So when you go and you see a YouTube video, the very first thing you see on the video before you hit play is the thumbnail. Now, it could be that that's the full screen size that you're going to watch it as. It could be that it's a thumbnail along the right-hand column of the YouTube site itself, or maybe it's a plugin that's a part of your website. No matter how you do it, that image is the first impression. It's the cover of the book of the YouTube video. So how can you choose better images than the ones that YouTube chooses for you? I mean, let me give you a perfect example. I have a client who's also in my mastermind, and she was dealing with this problem exactly, that she created a video, and in the video she was making a broad gesture, and of course the only choices YouTube gave for her were this, which, if you're not watching the video, if you're listening to the audio, let me describe it. It's like midway through a swooping arm gesture, like hooking your arm underneath your midsection and with her mouth open. Horrible. I mean, she's a comedian, so she wanted funny, but it was less funny and more awkward. So she said, well, how can I do this? Well, I've had YouTube thumbnails enabled for quite some time, so I had to actually do some research because it's been a long time since I've done it. But I'll tell you how to do that. So basically, what we're talking about here is we're talking about the cover of your YouTube video. So what you would ideally want to do is create an image that is perfect for the video. You'll notice that what I tend to do is I tend to choose images that have kind of a funny or interesting look to them that are somehow related to the video. So one of the videos that I was working on recently, I was talking about codecs and wrappers. Now, you don't have to know what that is, but basically for that I thought, well, how do I imagine what a codec is? Well, that's kind of going to be hard to explain, but a wrapper, I can use something else with that same name, a homograph, two words that are spelled the same but actually mean somewhat different things. And so I look for a picture of a candy wrapper. You see how that works. A lot of people really think that you need a person's face in a thumbnail, and a lot of times that's a good practice as well. But if YouTube only gives you like an awkwardly shaped freeze frame, like in the middle of a word, you know, they give you 3, but a lot of times none of them are very good. So if it's the case that that's your choice, well, what you do is you upload your own. Best practice, I've heard a lot of people recommend 1280 by 720. I think really what you're going to want to do is have your thumbnail be the maximum resolution of your video. Now, it still needs to be pretty small, so it can't be larger than 2 megs, but really it doesn't have to be this super high quality, no graininess, no artifacts kind of thing. Just make it adequate. So I often try and get my images, even at 1080p size, to be 100 kilobytes. So it's possible to do in Photoshop. There are other tools that allow you to do that. So that's what I would recommend to you. Now, so how do you get the ability to do this? Because you probably don't have it unless you've enabled it. Well, there's two ways. The first and easiest way is to enable monetization on your video. Easy breezy, lemon squeezy. It takes you through the steps. No harm, no foul, nice and straightforward. But you're a church. You may not want monetization on your videos. You don't want to be talking about stewardship and you get a car commercial for an expensive car. That could be a problem. So how do you go about doing this? Well, there is another way. You can verify your account. So basically, YouTube just wants to give privileges to people who are willing to be more honest, more forthcoming, and if they know who you are, they assume you're going to be more honest, more forthcoming. You're not going to do too many bad copyright things. So in order to do that, you can verify your account. So start by going to YouTube, sign into your account. The next thing you're going to want to do is go to the video manager. That should be in the upper right hand corner. And once you do that, on the left hand side of the video manager window, you should have channel settings. You're going to want to click on that as well. Once you've clicked on channel settings, there is a verify button. This is the golden ticket. This is what we're going to look for. Now, some people will not like what I'm about to tell you, but quite frankly, it's just a way for YouTube to tell who you are. So if you're a church, that's not a bad thing. So let's go through this. What you want to do is you can verify with SMS. So put in someone's cell phone number, you get a text message with a 6-digit code, you're fine. You can also verify with a voicemail. And I think I didn't do it this way, but I'm pretty sure that it's basically the same thing. You put in the phone number and they call you, and a robotic voice gives you the 6-digit number. Then once you've done that, you put in your 6-digit number, let it sit for a little while, you'll be verified, and you can go ahead and put in your thumbnails. So it's really not a difficult process, but it's one that some people just don't do because they're convinced, Google is out to get them. Google really doesn't care about you. I'm sorry to tell you this. If you knew exactly how much Google thinks about you, it would be precisely 0. They don't care unless you cause them problems or unless you try and cheat the system, right, in some way. Now, in aggregate, they care about your demographic, but you personally, they really don't care about. So they're not snooping on you. They're not trying to do evil things to you. So please, let's not get into that discussion. But I think that it's worth verifying your account so that you can have this added functionality, because how often have you seen the thumbnail and the title of a video and thought, oh, that looks interesting, and clicked on it? But if the thumbnail looks like it was just hastily thrown in there and no real preparation, that's half of the equation that you just don't have. So you don't want to fall victim to that problem. If you like this content, I'd love for you to join my email newsletter. So do that by heading over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/gifts, GIFTS. And there I've got some free church tech resources along with an email subscription to my newsletter, which is free. Provides all sorts of tips and tricks and lets you know some of the great stuff I'm doing here at trinitydigitalmedia.com. If you like the free resources that I've provided for you, you might be interested in my store. Now, I've created all sorts of resources. I'm adding more every week of things that are meant to make you more effective on one hand and have more time on the other. So your church wants to be more effective in their use of technology to reach the lost, to help hurting people, etc. That's what I'm trying to do. You want to spend more time with your family or spend more time with people directly in ministry. That's what I'm trying to do. So head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/store and then you can pick up some of those resources. Until next time, go out and change eternity. This is Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.